The story of Ulillillia. Ulillillia? What the hell's Bubsy? Okay.
The internet is like a window.
Okay, wait, what is this going to be, like a Chris Chan situation? I don't want to. Let's just find out.
It allows us to see into the lives of many. Some people keep their life private online.
What's up, Boogie?
Others allow it to
Where
be
you
shown for the
sucked?
entire world to see. Some people are living completely
Charlie,
normal
big
virtual
fan.
lives, and
Everyone
others
loves
are,
you.
well, that speaks for
Don't
itself.
know who you are.
But if it wasn't for the internet, you would probably
Oh,
have
that's
no
Chris
idea
Chan.
any of these people even existed. And that's
I forgot what Chris Chan looked like
But
originally.
due to this, many people of many shapes and sizes have documented basically their entire lives online, and we get to see just how some live those lives. Now, of course, if we were just talking about a regular person, we wouldn't be here today. Who wants to talk about some guy who goes to his regular 9-to-5 job every day, stuck in
Of course, that would be boring.
Coming to bed, honey? Yes, dear.
That's not interesting. That's too realistic. And you come to YouTube to get away from that. Instead, what we're talking about today is one of the strangest people I have ever seen on the internet, and it's a challenge even saying his name.
Ulillillia?
This is Ulillillia.
Ulillillia. This is Ulillillia. Ulillillia. That is hard to say. Ulillillia.
Real name?
That's hard to say.
Nick Smith. Ulil is a man who loves video games, really loves video games, and has had video games integrated into every aspect of his life. He was discovered very early on in the early 2000s, and has since had a ton of aspects of his life documented. Some praised him, some ridiculed him, and some just thought he was an interesting person. And I'm in the last group. Join me today as we dive into the story of Ulillillia.
I think it's I understand why people do it. I think it's really odd following a complete stranger's entire life and like really digging deep for it. I understand why some people do it, especially for someone like Chris Chan. Like that, like you never know what's gonna happen with that cat. Seriously, like he just got arrested again. I think. I don't quite understand it. I think it's probably like honestly a sort of sick interest, where you want to see somebody ruin their lives. I just don't get it. I get it if they're like if somebody like Charlie, like Charlie's a pretty healthy guy, good mindset, you know. I get that. Voice critical. But like it's like a sick sense of curiosity and wonder is why people follow so closely into people like Chris Chan, and I'm guessing maybe this person. That was a good intro. That was a good intro.
What could possibly go wrong?
I'm doing something a bit different with this video. My previous story of videos have been on people who were very detestable. They were usually seen in a negative light, but I think I like to be a bit more positive than the average YouTuber who makes these types of videos, because I can see the potential and glimmer of hope in some of these guys.
Better than most.
He's not going to be like those others. He's very strange, but he's not unlikable or detestable. Quite the opposite, really.
Okay.
Sorry for the clickbait. I might crack a few jokes.
How dare you?
But the main point.
How dare you try to generate views? Is it working? How dare you make a successful video with 17,000 people, 700,000 people watching? How dare you clickbait us into a good video?
This vid is to show you this guy's quirks and really pick at his brain and why he is the way he is. Ulil is not just a neurodivergent, he is the neurodivergent. We'll see why that is. Nick Smith was born on January 10th, 1984 in North Dakota, and, well, despite how much of a spectacle he will become later in life, we surprisingly know very little about his adolescence, so I'm going to make my own fanfiction. I'm going to imagine Nick was born, and as he got older, his family started noticing all of his abnormal sensibilities and quirks. There was probably something going on upstairs that they didn't know about, and it was the 80s, so the studies on someone like this probably wouldn't
He said it was the 80s. So they probably didn't do studies. They were just like, he's a hyper kid.
explain much of anything. I should go ahead and mention this because it's very important. With it being the cornerstone of my channel and being mentioned almost every damn video, Ulillillia is not diagnosed with autism. He has never been officially diagnosed with it, which is actually surprising. What he is confirmed to have is he has a very severe case of obsessive-compulsive disorder, which makes him have all sorts of phobias and fears, and a ton of obsessions, which we'll get into later. His case of
If you can't be in
OCD is to the
complete
point where
control,
it
that can
majorly
really
affects
disrupt
your
you
daily life
sometimes.
and ability to function in social situations. Basically, with his condition and needs, he's probably not going to have a functional normal life, which may be a blessing and a curse. While he may not
Aww.
shine in the normie world, where he did shine was the realm of video games. Nick is a huge gamer. He always has been. He was born in
That's
94,
for the
right time to
PC?
become a gamer. It has been a part of his identity and always will be. But the thing is, Nick is also the most dedicated gamer I have ever seen, with not a hint of exaggeration. I thought speedrunners playing the same games over and over and over was some dedication. But Nick puts them to shame. Nick has claimed he has put hundreds of thousands of hours in games you would not expect. Games that only have, arguably, a handful of hours of gameplay in them. He has somehow pulled off
Like
the
what?
most tedious, mind-numbing tasks possible no normal man would ever attempt in a game. Listen to some of his feats.
Super Mario 3. Oh, how I remember this one so much. I've actually literally gotten a max score on the very first level in the game. This one I have about 1,500
What?
hours on. Seriously.
1,500 hours on NES Metroid? It's not that good. Dude, this guy's serious. Like,
1,500 hours.
that's nuts.
And there you have it. I've maxed the score, and I'm
He-
only 8.
He's not joking. What?
And it's in. Amazing. The levels are really big, so there's a lot of places they can figure out that two-tailed fox named Tails that I just love abusing so much. Toss them in the water. Create debug created courses of bumpers and Carnival Night 2. Just ding 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 ding.
Yo, this guy's a menace. Poor Tails, what is he doing? Oh no. Hold on, this guy might be alright. This guy might be alright.
Like that, and wait for him to drown. Get a new fox.
You know, role-playing games and the concept of grinding. You know when you have to kill a ton of things to get your level up in a game, the most tedious part of any RPG that everyone hates? Well, Nick spits in your face and shows you how it's done.
Only a few more plays remain, and then I finally have level 9999 for the very first time in this game.
Level 9999.
Lines.
The strangest one of all is...
Dude, he has...
a
Not only does he say he does this stuff, he has the receipts to back it up. That's crazy. Holy
massive
crud.
obsession
That's
with a
crazy.
furry mascot character with attitude from the 90s that is strong with the neurodivergent community. That's right, Bubsy the Bobcat. He is probably the world's
Who's
biggest Bubsy
Bubsy the
fan.
Bobcat?
3,600. That is a lot of play, and it's all because of two main things. Glide hops and speed like you would never believe. You can
Hey, you're right, I
go
wouldn't.
so fast on this game, it just blows your mind away.
He has scoured every single inch and centimeter of every one of his games. He has videos up showing secrets about Bubsy 3D probably nobody else knows about.
I've never seen this game a day before in my life. He is a master, you kidding?
Stop moving forward.
Mudpile, if we thought we were gamers, no. This guy's a gamer.
He has numerous videos on Bubsy 3D. He probably has more hours in this game than the entire base of people who bought Bubsy 3D.
I've never seen Bubsy in my life.
Extremely well.
He'll just thoroughly dissect every single part of it, every single mechanic, everything about it. You know how there are those obscure video game glitches that make you wonder, how did they ever find this out?
Yeah?
People like Nick and pure dedication to the craft. To also add on to this dedication to video games, Nick is also a mathematic genius. He has tons of math equations and all sorts of hypotheticals.
Whoa. Oh my gosh. How would multiplying a group of 4 numbers look after finished? Here's an example. don't even know what he's talking about. That's crazy.
Such he's written just for the hell of it. He created his own color system he followed using mathematics. He created his own sleep schedule using his math skills so he could follow it in his own way.
Instead of following
What?
a 24-hour cycle like most of us are otherwise familiar with, I follow a 25 and 2/3 hour cycle. There's 24 hours in a day, and my sleep-wake cycle's 25 and 2/3. The difference? 1 and 2/3 hours.
The man is clearly talented
What?
in more ways than one.
What is this guy on? Hold on, I think I get it. I think I'm starting to understand. This guy's wild.
He would
Wow, this
apply
guy's
his love
interesting.
of
This
video
guy's
games
weird.
mathematics to his everyday life, equating any sort of skill or practice in something and turning them into experience, like in an RPG. Now, yes, it does seem a little strange and maybe a bit cringe to do some "my life is like a video game" shit here, and I thought the same thing too at first. But reading on this dude and all he's accomplished, you can't help but be charmed by the guy, and we'll get into why throughout this video. So Nick is driven by pure...
I'm gonna say, and I think this is why I'm immediately like kind of getting charmed. He's so passionate about what he's interested in, and like because he's awkward, you can feel that passion. You know what I mean? And it's likable, almost kind of like, and I don't mean this offensively, almost in a childlike way. And I don't mean that offensively. I mean it like, it's just it's sweet almost. You know what I mean? It's like, aw. Because that's why I'm like, it's like, oh, dude, he's so into it.
He's willing to go to such
And it's
lengths to
impressive
basically
too.
tear them apart and apply mathematical equations and such to them. And it's for games that aren't even that good. But just so you know,
The heck
this
is
obsession and
Bubsy?
passion for video games Nick has.
Hold on, I have to see what the heck Bubsy is. Bubsy 3D. I've never in my entire life heard of this game. What's on?
Is not entirely positive. In fact, it also affected Nick in a very negative way that not many people would even think about.
Did I mention I don't like heights?
Is that a soundbite from the game? Because if
The vast
so,
majority of video games, you're usually dodging obstacles. You know,
a pretty
enemies,
fun
winds,
voice.
spikes, whatever gets in your way counts as an obstacle.
Screw
What
Mega
makes
Man.
games
I
so
hate
fun
Mega
is that
Man.
they're easy to
I'm
spot,
so
and
bad
you
at
know
Mega
what is the
Man.
danger to be avoided in a game. But video games are fictitious.
I'm better at Dark
What will happen to
Souls
the games
than Mega
stay
Man.
in the games. Nobody tries to play
And I've played more of Mega Man.
to real life. Our boy Nick played video games so much, as he grew up, he gained phobias over various different things in real life that he learned to avoid in games, as he thought they would
Piranhas?
harm him in the real world.
Piranha fish?
He has a laundry list of strange phobias and fears, and we're
What?
going to go over some of them right now.
Oh, please,
One
let's
of the
do
most
it.
troubling of his phobias was his fear of blue water. He had played many games where water automatically killed you, and growing up, he thought it was the same thing in real life. So anywhere with any kind of water, he would attempt to avoid. But you know, water is kind of impossible to avoid. Blue water is hard to come by, but essentially he got over this fear due to the fact that water is just water. The same thing also happened with grass.
What is he?
As he
Wait, whoa. I wasn't even paying attention. Look at him manhandle that fish, dude. What a badass. What, you think he just caught that? I bet he caught it like that, too. He probably just whipped his hand down and just, He probably like solved the mathematic equation for the currents and like the timing on it too. I'm not. This guy's. I like this guy. This guy's fun.
The same thing also happened with grass.
Yeah, I think it's exactly what he did because he's like pointing. He's like pointing around in the water. I think as to where he grabbed it from. I think that's exactly what happened.
He thought if he fell on grass, it would kill him. This phobia was also never going to last because, well, you can't avoid grass. Another one of his phobias is stairs.
Oh no, that's a
that he's afraid to go up
stairs.
but he
Stairs are a
will
little
only
spooky.
go up them in a very specific way. He states he has no clue
Put it
what
on
this
his hands
phobia is
and-
about, or even how this phobia started, but he can only go up them like this, and this looks like an absolute pain of a phobia to have. I wonder how he would handle those
In a
rocky
pendulum moment. Oh,
And then there was his fear of mirrors. Oh boy, this one is crazy. Nick had an awful fear of mirrors.
is it because of like
Go
evil
out of his
Link?
way to avoid
Is that
ever
why?
meeting one, dreading what would happen. He had such a crippling fear of mirrors, he even mapped out this theoretical department store and all the ways all these mirrors could be facing, and then planned
Look at what I'm saying. This guy, he's so engulfed in the way he is, and like the passion of everything he does is consistent. And like this guy's crazy. He made graphs of stores on how to avoid mirrors. That's insane. I don't mean that like, I mean a little crazy, but I mean that insane. Like, I don't even know if I could do that if I wanted to do that. I don't think he went to the store to do it, probably because of the mirrors.
So he would never have to face or look at a mirror in the process. And he
That's
goes into
that's insane.
detail about what he would do to ever avoid coming across a mirror in the department store, treating it again like a video game. He had a fear of ketchup and mustard because they reminded him of a video game lava. He had a fear of the letter P.
Shortly after, I soon got a related issue with the letter P. Oh, I don't recall much. Okay.
I think we just found his true identity. Now, yes, all phobias are very strange and unconventional. But look, the definition of a phobia is an irrational and unrealistic fear of something, and these fit that definition perfectly. But yeah, too long didn't read. It's a bunch of really weird and really irrational fears. Exactly what I said. But the thing you must understand is...
a little crazy, but it's okay.
We live in a world where people will demand the entire world stop for them and just them. Everyone has
100%.
to stop everything they're doing and care to them. But Nick...
goes with what we were talking about earlier, the greed and all that clout, man. Everyone's so self-important and everything just revolves around them. Facts don't matter, history doesn't matter. What matters is how they feel. That's what's most important.
Here, Nick was different. He never asked anyone to take down anything or get rid of anything because he hated it. He just stood there and took it and found out his own way around these phobias.
And there's also concerts going on.
See, and I like this guy immediately because he didn't just live in fear forever. He found ways to overcome his fears. Like, that shouldn't be something I should have to say is commendable, because I think that's just something people should do, is overcome their fears. It's healthy. Unless, of course, unless it's like, I'm scared of sharks. There's no reason to go swim with sharks. You don't gotta overcome that fear. But like, if you're scared of fences, for example, it's a good fear to overcome. There's no reason to be scared of fences unless you're falling on one. Like, commendable.
I otherwise never really go to those because of one thing. Noise. And it's high. It's really loud.
I also don't like a lot of loud noise.
Never got over, at least to my knowledge.
Not a phobia, I just don't like it. It irritates me.
To fix some of these phobias, but he went against it last minute.
I wanted to hypnotize Nikki to get him out of the mirror situation and the stairs situation.
Okay.
I thought, oh, if I hypnotize him. So I went to a hypnotist and I asked him, oh, we can do that. The patient has to be willing to do it. And at that time, Nikki was. And now he won't do it. He lost interest.
His family has
did it work?
Tried to work with Nick's lifestyle all these years. Their supporters tried their best to accommodate him, like his eating choices, which one of his favorite meals is degreased pizza, where he heats up a pizza and goes through the painstaking process of taking all the grease off with a paper towel.
Carbohydrates are 4 and protein.
What?
How much this all comes up. This is a lot of grease.
Because you get like, he's OCD. He gets every single bit of grease, doesn't he?
Despite the fact I eat almost nothing but pizza.
Wow, he's even dissecting his food. Because of his quirks and his strange phobias, it was very difficult for Nick to really connect and get any friends, because nobody really understood him but him.
Oh, Nick and I would have been good friends in school. I would have like, not to be mean, but he would have been like a good source of entertainment. Literally not in a way to be mean. I would have like been good friends with him, but like, I literally picked friends in school based off of who would entertain me the longest. I was an asshole. I was never mean to them, and I wouldn't just ditch them. I'd be good friends with them, but like, I wouldn't just be friends with someone because they were nice. I would be friends with someone if they were entertaining enough. I was an asshole growing up.
They mean things. They would. Well, there's one case where one of them literally spit on my back.
Oh, what seriously?
They often whistle for no reason.
What a
irritated.
Look, if you pick on people who are mentally challenged in any way, shape, or form, even if it's minor, and when I say minor, I mean if it's like, if you're just on the spectrum, you're an asshole. Straight up. Like, go fuck with someone who can actually take you on. There's no reason to mess with someone who can't properly defend themselves. You're actually a piece of scum. You're not worth the space you take up. You're just not. You're not a man. You're not big. You're not strong. You're just a coward. Like, I'll never get that.
A fight with me is whistling, so better be careful with that.
No hope of getting a significant other either, which he has also expressed, but you know, it is what it is.
So you have no romantic interests?
Nope, I have zero interest in that kind of stuff.
Why is that?
I believe it.
A lot of things. There's so many negatives on top of one another, on top of another.
This is
There's 4-digit negative for
4-digit. And if he's saying he has 4 digits worth of negatives, I guarantee he's not lying. He probably has a diagram with everything laid out and like in Roman numerals to save space. Like, I guarantee he's done this.
getting married in a sense. It's so far into negative territory that it almost rivals robbing banks.
Nick has no friends, nobody to connect with, and also lives in one of the U.S.'s least populated states. Finding anyone who he can relate
Oh
with
my
is
gosh.
pretty much impossible. While in real life, he was a weird loner, on the internet, he thrived.
Holy my dude, Minute Maid Lemonade, Altoids up the butt. Nvidia, dude. This guy's living it. At least he stays really organized though. Everything's in boxes. I mean, his wires actually are pretty clean to a point. They're not managed, but they're not bad.
And this would lead people on the web discovering the story of
There's
Ulillillia.
more cans on the right. Oh my gosh.
This is your brain when you're struggling to focus. And this is your brain when you're in the zone. But
Is it? Tell me
Hey,
more.
whatever blows your hair back.
So Nick, in the early 2000s, will discover a way to get his frustrations out and document his life. And using the power of Angel Fire, he created his own website, Ulillillia. Most of the info in this video came from his very own website, as Nick himself did almost all the documentation of himself.
Oh.
He wears his
Wait, are these like what's the hold on, what's this? Oh, this must be just for a game.
himself
Is this just for a game or
all the
they were
documentation.
small list of some spell series. There's also a complete list of spell failures that I think. Okay, yeah, that's for a game. I didn't know if he was like trying to create his own spells or something. That's why I thought he was doing at first. Not entirely convinced that's not what he's doing. But I'm not gonna read, and I'm sure it's about a game.
On this website, he documents everything. His life, his interest, his fears, what he
Quaternary status. Various other statuses like pulse, weight, or eye color. Are these his specs? Fifth status. What status? How ability learnings? What events are? Leveling up? No, okay, it's just for another
does
game.
for fun, his likes and dislikes.
Animation. Oh!
He put it all out there for the world to see.
The birth of my story writing efforts. The wonder. He's. Music? My history with music? Dude, what has this guy not done?
Neglected to mention is on this website, Nick also documents almost every dream he has. He uses the website as a dream journal of sorts, and having the mind Nick does, he has some weird fucking dreams.
Please read
involving
some.
Video games,
Mud dreams. Video game dream. That's a lot. Water dream. Nightmares. That's not many. Travel dreams. Dude, this guy wants to travel. He should. Other dreams. Weird dreams. Probably. Fun dreams. Computer dreams. I thought I
dreams where he
saw
travels to far-off places, dreams where he
school dreams,
discovers
exploration
mud.
dreams.
It's a trip reading through all the ones he's recorded. But he just does
Hold on. I want to read one. The beach at night occurred. General nature, story, scenery, fun, scary, weird, mad imagery, intact dream, intact occurred in late 2000 or early 2003. What? I was at the beach at night. The area was lit up from natural sources quite well, so you could see for about a mile or two. The beach was a shoreline, easily visible, and a cliff about 100 feet away from the beach with ledges very large and flat that a beginner rock climber could easily manage. Some of the rocks on this cliff seemed to have a dark red tint to them. I don't remember what happened much in this. I do remember I was walking around the top of the cliff and I wanted to go towards the beach. Climbing down the cliff was tough. He really just records every little thing. That dream went nowhere. That dream had nothing. And it was what? This is
He also reviews and ranks them, categorizes them using mathematic formulas. He
mathematic formulas to categories. Okay.
If I were to record my dreams, I'd just put down in a text file, Mario, if he real.
Yeah.
Of this angel-fired site from the early 2000s is not only nostalgic as hell, but also actually interesting. Even though I'm too grug-brained to understand the mathematic formulas, everything else is a sight for the eyes. Back in the early 2000s, when the internet was still really niche, still being on dial-up and all, there wasn't any one place.
When I was growing up, I used to play Doom a lot. And anytime I would want to play Doom, I would get kind of scared sometimes, especially on towards like the last level because of E1 M8 because the music was scary. And I would play Spy Fox, and playing Spy Fox, I could print drawings. So I had a save where I could just go straight to the drawing and print things, and my mother would get so pissed off because I'd always want to print something like in the middle of a phone call, but she was always on the freaking phone, like, but she would get pissed, so mad.
Place really following certain individuals like there are now.
Those are good times.
Except for one place. Something Awful. Something Awful being probably the first congregation of internet dwellers looking at weird people and weird things online, someone had happened across Nick's website and was so perplexed by it, they had to share it with the rest of the site. It was originally meant to just clown on the guy and posted it to the Comedy Goldmine part of the forums. When they shared the website, the people over on Something Awful...
I'm not going to read all that.
Some were amazed, some were impressed, some were disgusted, and some thought it was a joke. But all of them were definitely intrigued. They had just discovered an absolute...
Yeah, this guy's mind is crazy.
They weren't gonna let him go. In fact, they decided to actively start following him and his endeavors. Now, if you think this is the part where they start screwing with Nick and making his life a living hell, you'd be surprisingly wrong. In fact, the opposite happened. Nick was such a weird and interesting guy, he became somewhat of a little micro-celebrity on Something Awful. Some
really?
obsessed with the guy and desperately tried.
If you want to get to interview him, straight out ask him. I'm sure if you come across honestly neutral enough, he'll comply. If that doesn't work, offer him free... I don't think that's gonna work. Look at the dude's username!
To get an interview with him or find some way to talk to him.
I'm not reading this comment. Attention forum.
He was definitely one of the earliest internet celebrities, at least on Something Awful. With this exposure on Something Awful, word of Nick's antics spread to what was the internet at the time, and he quickly gained a cult audience who were now following his website. I don't think he really had a grasp on the idea that potentially dozens and dozens of people were now reading his stories and progress throughout life. But from everything I've seen, he just continued business as usual, updating the website constantly with more stories, progress on life, and other things.
Super fast
so
mental
he's
math.
Congregated sort of a fan base following him. A lot more
This is it's just, this guy is just chilling. He's like, he's absolutely enamored by him. He is in the Zen state watching him.
Then YouTube came out, and so Nick started using YouTube to record and document his life on there. Although he's since deleted the channel, of course people have archived the videos.
Okay,
his
good.
Life, his phobias, his dreams, and his math skills are interesting to read about, but does he have anything he wants to do with these skills? Anything he'd like to apply them to help him in the future?
I have to see at least one of his videos. I have to.
Dave McCormick said he's pro-life, like that's a good thing.
Come on. That's ridiculous.
I don't care about politics right here, right now. Catch me in a couple
if you
weeks.
Ask me, the most interesting part about everything involving Ulillillia is what he calls his mind game.
Please tell me he has a game in his brain that he just fucking plays and like saves and loads. Please tell me his brain
Nick
works
has
this way.
played so many video games and spent so much time in them, he has ascended to a new level of video gaming. He has developed his very own video game inside of his mind.
Ah!
Whenever he's bored and not doing anything in particular, he will enter a trance and start playing this video game inside of his head. What does he do
No,
inside this
shut up.
mind game? In this mind game, he has superhuman abilities that allow him to do whatever he wants in his mind. Climbing mountains in literal minutes, running at supersonic speeds. And in this mind game, he is completely immune to pain and damage, so he can do basically whatever he wants. And
It sounds to me like he's using his imagination. I do that occasionally myself. I mean, once I was a spy for about 20 minutes on the bus. This isn't that crazy, but like, I want to see if he gets in depth. Like, if he has like stats in his head, and if he like role plays accurately. That's what I'm curious about. Or if this is just him just using his
the only
imagination.
person who can stop Nick in this game is Nick himself. In his mind, the chains are taken off, and Nick is free. This is a very, very difficult thing to try and express to people what you do in your free time. If you
Okay.
told people you stare off into space to play this video game you've created inside your head, they would look at you like you're fucking insane. And admittedly, it is a very loaded thing to drop on someone, and Nick knows this. So after years of playing this mind game and trancing in and out of the real world, Nick decided he had to find a way to show
Okay, I have to read this. This animated GIF above shows climbing mountains and high-speed movement are a thrill in my mind game.
playing this mind game and
Yeah, I have to
trancing in
read
and out of
this.
the real world, Nick decided he had to find a way.
Okay. This animated GIF above shows some of the few thrills and crazy stunts I do in my mind game. Futuristic like video game I play in my mind off. It takes a day or two to climb. Shut up! A day or two to climb a mountain 6,900 feet high, but in my mind. Oh, okay. With the use of the float run and numerous other special abilities, it takes under a minute. So he has to like activate cheat codes, float run, and stuff, or like activate abilities. He just doesn't have them. Like, he has to think about The above animation is in true time and is scaled realistically with the very strong 3D effects. The behavior exactly matches that in my mind game. The animation loops forever. Okay. Well, I'm not going to be able to. Supernatural abilities used in real-world type situations like climbing up a mountain and jumping half a mile high, then crashing into a wall near the speed of sound unhurt. Intense speeds allow me to cruise any. Yeah, he's just using his imagination.
Show everyone the vast amount of creativity and his skills in mathematics, and wanted to give people a way to experience the things he enjoyed, so he got on his computer and started to develop his very own game called Platform
Shut up.
Masters.
Get out of
During
here.
high school, Nick would dedicate a lot of his time developing this game. He had no real coding or game development knowledge, nor any artistic skills, but he basically brute forced all of that with his knowledge of mathematics. He would post constant updates and developments of his game over the years, because
He made a
this
game
was
of his
collection
dream.
all the knowledge and skills he had built up over the years. And for a game made by one guy who had never developed a game before and never really had any connection to the outside world, it's technically impressive.
I also didn't just individualize them, I also made them bigger. And if you look closely, I've also made an enhancement on the lighting. Whoa, these crazy platforms over here. That one's
Dude,
stopped,
what?
And up I go to the next section. Gotta love platforming, you know?
Nick would dump a ton of time into the development of this game, but that's not to say he didn't do other things, as Nick has also gone out of his way to write books. Yeah, a lot of people I've talked about seem to love and enjoy writing novels, and I, rather not talk about some of them.
Buy my book.
Nick's most
Oh my
famous novel
goodness.
is called The Legend of the 10 Elemental Masters.
He published it. He published it, dude.
Look at that cover art. Oh my god, I unironically love it. The early CGI look, it has a very nice vibe to it. I went out of my way to read this. In fact, to show you my mean
No.
business, I actually went out
No!
and bought a hard copy
of it, dude.
of this. I wanted to tell you all Nick's
Oh, no.
story and also support him at the same time. And having read through the book, well, I did some speed reading, and I'll just say, this is only made for a very specific group of people. And, well, I really...
EA Sports.
Whoops.
It's in the game.
Was my alarm? Steve, it hits in
I really hope...
Knuckles. It's back to over 300 Earth years, and now it's okay. Yeah, I'm
like
not.
numbers.
That's
The entire book is formatted like an old school RPG, and its plot is also as basic as an old school RPG. The main character is this weird purple furry named Knuckles. Not the Knuckles you're thinking of, but he's described as resembling a human, but with differences. Knuckles is neither male nor female, though referred to as a he. 3/4 inch thick dark violet colored fur.
Bro, he published the freaking code of purple that he wanted that Knuckles character to be.
Covers his entire body. He's only 25 1/3 inches tall, 4 inches wide, and 2.5 inches deep. Knuckles gets his name from his large hands, 40% bigger than a human his size would have. We never get any picture of what Knuckles looks like in the book, so here's an artist's rendition. You know, I get the feeling that yaoi artists would really enjoy this character. Now, if you couldn't tell, that description of Knuckles is hyper specific. From his exact size, to how thick his fur is, from how big his fists are. Now take
The
that
exact
and
shade
an
of
entire
green
book
and
like
purple.
that. This entire book is hyper detailed about all the numbers and the experience gained. Like reading through this, it's clear that the actual plot or anything happening takes a back seat to the number crunching and all the RPG mechanics involved within. It even has some menus on some pages, like the status screens in an RPG. I don't think there is a single page in this book that does not have at least one number on it. Plot-wise, it's really easy to follow.
Origin: Virgo superclusters local group Milky Way Soul Earth of Fire. Unknown. When a character casts the full-scan spell window. Dude. And he's got like Death's Magic Potency 5.1692 Echo 09. What the heck is he using the alphabet for here? This is nuts.
Plot, but Nick wasn't writing this for the plot. Nick made this book for himself, basically. And there's nothing wrong with that. But don't buy this expecting something made for everyone. I bought this to support Nick. I didn't want anyone to get the wrong idea that I'm trying to pick on him. He's a strange man, very strange indeed, and I've made some quips here and there, but after all the research I've done on him for this video, he has a lot of issues. But he's overcome all the odds and has found a way to be productive. He'll go on to make more games and write more books. They're all about what you would expect from him.
Barricana, my 2D side-scrolling platformer role-playing game hybrid, has undergone significant change since the last update. I've actually finished every single background, except for shops and a couple other maybe side story related stuff, but that's about it.
He's been known on the web for more than 20 years, and from the looks of
I've
things,
never heard of this guy.
not much has changed.
If only there was a way I could earn income while learning how to code and get my first $500.
I don't know, you could make small programs with your beginner knowledge while you learn how to code something bigger and better. That's just an idea. Or you could do whatever they're telling you to do on that stupid ad. Probably a website you have to pay money for.
With a production crew, and not just some guy with editing software, like yours truly. However, during the production of said documentary, Nick's hometown was flooded, and it was pretty devastating on the community. So because of this incident, it's sort of half a documentary.
He still has those
and the
3
other half
Altoid
is
tins.
talking to the members of the community and how the flood affected them. It's kind of weirdly formatted, but other than that, it's all right. Strange enough, though, this documentary was completed in 2012, but it did not see the light of day until about 7 years later, and no one knows why. It is what it is. The documentary goes over pretty much everything I've said in this video. Nick's life, Nick's aspirations, his family, and also how the flood affected him. Now, don't get the idea you can use this video as a replacement. I highly recommend you go check the original video out yourself. It says way more than I can. But remember, this was made back in 2012. That was 12 years ago. What about today? What is going on?
Yeah,
with
what's he
Nick
been
these
up to?
days? Well,
We want to
his
know.
original website is now no longer.
Oh
The
no!
domain is completely dead, but archives of it still exist and have been a big help for this video. He's also deleted a lot of the videos he uploaded to YouTube. I guess maybe the fans were too much for him or something like that. Even though the man had a bunch of people following him and enjoying what he did, if you have any bit of fame on the internet, you're going to get some trolls and some level of harassment. There are people who just thought Nick was a weird freak who deserved to be castrated or something, when really, the man isn't hard to fly. He keeps
He's
to
just
himself
doing,
and
he's
just
just
does
living
what
his
he likes.
life, man.
Checking up on him,
He's a cool
made life
cat.
for himself. He's moved from place to place.
So first day on an actual job was a rather short one because little did I know, the shift is actually midnight to 8:30. That's a whole shift, buddy. The orientation yesterday plus a 2-hour commute each way. And the orientation being more of a day shift. Agreements are needed. Already getting a pretty good sense of things. Can't really judge compatibility much right now as the error bar is too big.
Doing different odd jobs, still dealing with the same struggles like his picky food choices or phobias. He's taken vacations and swam with the stuff he used to be afraid of. He seems to be living just a normal life. As
Yeah, he's
normal
doing
as
his
someone like
thing.
Nick can have anyway.
Blue water kills you. Or at least that's what it would have said 21 years ago. I wouldn't have even touched a rain puddle of all things. And yet, here I am.
Look how far
sunning
he's
up to my
come.
neck in it, and it's about as blue as it can ever get.
You'll
That is
probably
some
be
blue
sad to hear
water.
that Platform Masters is
Good for
still not
him.
available to the public, despite working on
Aw.
it for well over a decade. He is currently working on other projects, though. He has a Patreon up where he gives updates on some of his games. He's making almost $800 in Patreon money every month just by doing this. That's a pretty chunk of
Dang.
change. So
Good
yeah,
for
he
him.
still has a very dedicated following. He
Good
still
for him.
updates about his games and his personal life to this very day. Very recently, he had his name legally changed to Ryan because he just likes the name Ryan. So technically, I've been using an outdated name this entire time. But hey, listen, I already wrote most of the script before I found this out, and I didn't want to bother pronouncing Ulillillia this entire time. Leave me alone. Why did I make this video so much different compared to the other ones? Well, there are a lot of absolutely screwed up people who found their way to the internet, and it is fun to see them flop and flail around like a trout on land. But sometimes you get success stories, like Nick. And
Yeah.
you gotta show them. This is a man who is self-admittedly severely mentally ill, but not only did he use the strengths he had, he also overcame many of his fears.
That's what
I
I'm
mean, the
saying.
man used to be
That's what I'm
scared of crap,
saying.
for Christ's sake, but now here he is making his own games, making hundreds on Patreon, and still trying to navigate through life.
Yup.
I've seen a lot of people call Nick
Yes.
the good Christian. They are both guys who were very
No, that's
mentally ill,
that's a
didn't
bad
have good
comparison.
social skills, and
He's
didn't
not.
seem
No,
like they
no,
were gonna
no.
go far. One
He.
went on a path of self-destruction, and
This
the
guy
other
lives in
actually
reality.
went
Christian
things
doesn't.
and lives a semi-normal life. But calling him the good Christian
This Nick guy
is underselling him. The story of Ulillillia is
is
one that
aware
shows
that
you,
he's
no
not
matter how
completely
often
normal.
Your own disorders or insecurities get in the way, you can use what you have in any way you want and make a name for yourself. It's not over for you. You'll just have to persevere in your own way.
Heck yeah.
Ulillillia, Nick, or Ryan, whatever you want to call him, was one of the first internet oddities. At surface level, he may seem like a gigantic weirdo, but when you dig in deeper, you see a man who was dealt a bad hand, but used what he had to get through life. And if
Yeah,
that isn't a compelling
definitely.
and motivating story,
Definitely.
I don't know what is. Please go support him and his endeavors. I feel he deserves it. God bless, like and subscribe, and good night. And remember, boys and girls, Ulillillia was the world's biggest Bubsy fan, so no one else would have to be. That's among his greatest accomplishments. Godspeed.
So, there you have it. Max score. That's how easy it is.
Oh, is this for a trailer for Bubsy? Dude, the 90s were so stupid.
He was just a computer-generated bobcat, but Granny loved him.
Oh, that was good.
Fentanyl is wreaking havoc.
That was good. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that a lot. You know, this is a good story you like to hear. He deleted his YouTube channel because he hated Google Plus. That's so plausible. I can't believe it. Uli is the perfect anti-lolcow. He's odd, but not malignant. Malignant. Can't talk. So it is actually a well-meaning person. Yeah, he was fully aware of his issues growing up. He didn't pretend like they were okay, and he tried to overcome them his whole life, and he did. This is the type of internet guy you like to hear about. He had a lot of problems, and he spent his entire life trying to overcome them while using his strengths to his advantage to get to maintain the rest of it. I like this one. I like this one a lot. This guy is probably the only one who is dedicated with somewhat a respectable article of Encyclopedia Dramatica, him overcoming his fears of water, and that video of him swimming in the blue sea is so inspiring. That's what I'm saying, man. Like he knew, like he knew they were irrational. He didn't try to make excuses, and he, yeah, I like that.